When a new family is on the way, we usually see their health in separate little boxes, right? You've got the mother's health over here, the baby's health over there. But what if we're missing the most important part? What if the real key isn't in the individuals themselves, but in all those invisible connections between them?
I mean, really think about it for a second. We have specialists for pregnancy, and then different specialists for once the baby arrives. We track the mother and we track the baby, and a lot of the time, they're on these two separate tracks through our medical system. But in doing that, are we truly seeing the whole interconnected picture of what's happening?
To really get what we might be missing, we have to look at how things are set up right now. And as you're about to see, the picture we've been working with, well, it's fundamentally incomplete.
Look, our medical system is built on some incredible specialties. You've got obstetrics, which zeroes in on that vital one-to-one link between the mother and the fetus. Then pediatrics takes the baton and it expands that focus to the mother and the infant. Both are absolutely essential. But do you see the pattern here? They're studying specific pairs inside a much bigger, much more complicated family system.
And that's where the problem starts, because by focusing only on these pieces, we're missing other critical connections. And even more than that, this fragmented view leaves one key person almost entirely out of the biological picture. And this isn't just a small oversight. We're talking about a massive gap in how we understand family health.
Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we fill in that gap and finally see the whole picture? Well, there's a new scientific discipline that's proposing a really powerful solution, and it's called Fimpology.
So Fimpology is all about taking a systems approach. The name kind of says it all, right? You've got F for fetus, I for infant, M for mother, and P for paternal, the father. The core idea is pretty simple, but honestly, it's also kind of radical. We need to stop studying these individuals as separate pieces and start looking at them as one single, interconnected biological unit. And we're not just talking about a surface-level glance here. Fimpology wants to do a super deep dive, looking at this family unit from every possible angle. I mean, we're talking about the molecular level, the hormones and genes being passed back and forth. We're looking at the developmental and physiological changes they all go through together. And we're even zooming all the way out to the huge evolutionary story that's being written by this one individual family. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the real game changer with Fimpology is how it completely reimagines the relationships within the family, connecting all the dots that we've been missing. All right, so here's the key takeaway. We move away from studying these isolated pairs, and instead, we focus on what's being called the quadruple relation. This is the whole network, the fetus, the infant, the mother, and the father, all viewed as one complete dynamic system where everything affects everything else.
Okay, so this whole system is really built on these 6 key two-way streets of communication. Now, the traditional fields like obstetrics and pediatrics, they're already focused on the mother's connection to the fetus and infant. What Fimpology does is bring all the other crucial relationships into the picture. The father's connection with the fetus, his connection with the infant, and his connection with the mother, finally creating one cohesive model.
And that right there brings us to maybe the biggest piece of the puzzle that Fimpology puts back on the board. Finally bringing the father into the scientific picture. I mean, just let this sink in for a second. This quote from the research is pretty startling. With everything we know in modern medicine, there isn't a single medical field that is dedicated to understanding the father's biological and developmental relationship with the rest of the family during this incredibly critical period. It's just a massive blind spot. This is where Fimpology just flips the script. It reframes the father not as some supportive spectator on the sidelines, but as an integral, active player in the system. His biology, his presence, it all has a direct and measurable impact on the mother, the fetus, and the infants. But this whole idea gets even bigger. It goes way beyond just one family. Fimpology argues that what's happening in these crucial early years isn't just a snapshot in time. It's actually a key part of this huge repeating cycle of life. Right, so this quadruple relation, this bond between the fetus, infant, mother, and father, it isn't just a one-time thing. You can think of it as a single link in a chain that stretches across generations. The health and development of one family unit directly sets the stage for the next one. So that baby, the infant at the heart of this family right now, they're not the end of the story. That infant grows up to become a future mother or father. And guess what? They're going to start this entire quadruple relation all over again, passing down everything they experienced to the next generation.
Which leaves us with this incredible question, right? If we stop looking at individuals in isolation and we start studying the family as the single interconnected biological system it truly is, just imagine what we could discover. What new frontiers could we unlock in health, in human development, and maybe even in our own evolutionary story? The potential is huge, and we're just getting started.